We will hope that's what this episode is about.
It's just very confusing that we're wearing these shirts. We can start.
Warm up.
Yep. Board game night.
We do have a indirect request. Hey, Pico.
Indirect request.
Yeah, from from oh my gosh, what was his name? Papa no,
What?
the one who sold us Discworld.
Oh, I saw he left. No?
Yeah, but he would like to see us have an episode where we feature our Grail games, as he calls it.
Do we have Grail games?
I'm not sure if that simply means our prize positions.
Because I love a lot of our games, but then like parang we didn't. I mean, apart from Discworld, which was difficult to find, I don't know if like there's been a lot of games like that. Like we had to hunt down specifically. Initially, Pret-a-Porter felt that way.
Or it's just games which we will celebrate as hey Mitch, as special in our collection. So Discworld.
Try the collector's end.
Yeah, and then there's the excuse me, Dice Crawl. It's the same cup.
Dice Crawl.
What? We'll be starting very soon.
Yeah, we're just like sharing the links as usual. Okay. I'm just like prepping like the list of the expansions.
And I was clicking at that moment.
Oh my gosh, see, there's like, what are these individual ones?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I've been wondering about how we'll find them.
Well, eventually they'll be available on the AEG store, so I can probably take a look.
Because I like the earlier ones were the sheep and the basketball players. Right?
All-Stars, yeah, we never got All-Stars. But yeah, no, then I guess it's... I just checked the AEG store.
Because it's odd how they list expansions and that's separate from the re-implementation.
Because technically, any smash up can be played on its own. If you get down to it, it's like they're all independent games. Ayun, the Titans pack and the Penguins are only available on the website for $10. But that doesn't count. Then there's another one next year, Goblins. And we also still didn't bother with the bigger, geekier box. Smash Up is just an ongoing problem. So yeah, usual. Show your support, like the video, share with fellow game friends. We're going to talk about Smash Up.
907?
Yeah.
I guess we can start. This is Toby.
You have to peer over there.
Just to check if you're... Wait, are you visible? Can you switch it to the camera and do that? See? Because we only have one box of Smash Up.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. See? They only see one box of Smash Up. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted, but not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us. We talk about everything and anything, random, live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining again. Please share the link right now, like the video, and join us as we spend the next 30 minutes talking about
Smash Up! Mondays, we have been typically trying to do tabletop games, well, mostly board games and card games, not including RPGs, those are separate things. And yeah, today we're talking about the shuffle building game that is Smash Up. And this was a game originally designed by Paul Peterson. And really, foolishly, I first thought of this as like, hey, I miss playing things like Magic the Gathering, but I don't want to keep spending on expansions that re-implement the same cards. So when Smash Up came around, it felt very promising because it is sort of, it's a very interesting, like, competitive card game. But the main premise is that each the boxes all come with a set number of factions, and then to build your deck for the game, you choose 2 factions
and
so
smash them together.
Smash and you shuffle build your deck together, so that'll give you a deck of 40 cards, and then you go. So like in the base set of Smash Up, it's a lie. We have things like pirates, aliens, dinosaurs, robots. So you could have a robot zombie deck where you combine those 2 factions and then you come up with whatever abilities that come a long way. And then the base game came with 8 factions and tokens to mark your victory. And it was a good starting point. And then it already offered a lot of different combinations.
Yes.
The game supports 2 to 4 players. And then despite expansions, the game really maxes out at 4 players. And I get that because you're dealing with 40 card decks. There's only so much you can do.
And given that part of the winning process is taking over what we call bases, you take charge of bases by placing I forgot what they call it, the people.
Minions.
By placing minions into specific locations. And once that base has enough minions of value to break it, then points are awarded as to who has the greater amount of strength in most cases in those bases. And so if you have more than 4 players, the Latak players will rarely have a chance to get in before
That's true.
Breaks.
And it also like makes it confusing since you're dealing with cards, so that cards have 4 sides. It's easier to assign each player has a side where they put minions of their factions and not mix things up too much. So I mean, and just to rewind a bit, so your basic action turn is that you can play 1 minion and you play 1 action. So minions are sort of like your Magic the Gathering creatures. Actions are
like your
everything else. They're your sorceries, your instants, whatever. Because I can't remember other rare cases. You very rarely play out of turn. You normally play your cards only during your turn. And then once you've done that, you check all the breakpoints of all the bases to see if the total power of all minions there is equal to or greater than the base's breakpoint. Then you determine if scoring is going to happen. So note that the determination is all the minions played there and not just your own. So it's not one player hitting the breakpoint, but everyone who's gathered there.
And then worse, in a single base, as you can see here, the first, second, and third place players tend to get a variable number of points. Some bases are even insidious that the lowest player gets the most points.
Yes.
Other bases might grant you one-time effects or powers. Like there is a base upon breaking and winning it, you get to keep one of your minions and play them again.
In another base. Or the base that replaces it.
Or there's the other one where you move all minions to a new base, and it can result in very interesting chain reactions and funny moments.
Yeah. So I mean, and then the base game alone is a pretty solid experience. And like I said, you're gonna get a lot of play out of it. Between 8 decks, you can do any combination of those 8 factions to come up with 4 whole player decks. It's a lot of fun, and they really got to tailor the decks to the specific feel of like there's like a inherent niche protection for all the decks. For example, the zombies have a tendency to come back from your discard pile.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. The aliens have a lot of manipulation, moving things around. The dinosaurs are just very big and strong.
So much stronger the moment they're together.
Yeah, and then
robots
are
build
small.
each other faster.
Yeah, but then they tend to propagate very quickly, kind of Ultron-esque in nature. And then pirates tend to jump around
and mess up rules.
Yeah, they like moving from base to base, and that can present some unpredictable.
So
play.
the base game was released way back in 2012, and following it was the first expansion, which is the Awesome 9000 expansion, released April 2013.
Awesome level 9000.
This expansion then added pirates. This is where the pirates came in. Pirates. Oh, sorry. These were killer plants, steampunk, ghosts, and bear cavalry come in.
Yeah, so I mean the Awesome level 9000, in terms of like all the, and there's no like easy way to rate the expansions because they're also diverse. But I think like the factions that really stood out from this one were probably the plants, because the plants just grow very also quickly. They have a tendency to start small and become big mid-game, and that provides like a fun little environment. But admittedly, like over time, the ghosts are a little difficult to play. They tend to rely on discarding abilities. The steampunk one was also like a little weird because they focused on the played actions.
Items.
Yeah, they're like enchantments in Magic the Gathering, played on bases and played on stuff. So it was harder to meet their conditions. Bear cavalry is just fun to say. They are strong and have a tendency also to jump from base to base. So that's
and once
cool.
they're in play, they're hard to dislodge.
Yeah, because the fact that they're big bears. So this is like not a super essential an expansion to get. I feel it wasn't like a universally like we play all these factions a lot.
Following that came the obligatory Cthulhu set. I can't find the box, but that was September 2013. And the science fiction double feature, which was March 2014.
First, the Cthulhu set really felt like they just made a Cthulhu set for making the sake of a Cthulhu set. It has another madness dynamic. The factions are very specific to Cthulhu lore. There's like the Miskatonic, whatever, and there's the big monsters.
In many ways, it felt like the least compatible one because of the way the madness system entered and all that. It kept all the other. I mean, none of the other expansions really worked with it.
Yeah, nobody else played with the madness mechanic. So then you only really have the Cthulhu set, really involving it. So if only one player played the Cthulhu faction, then suddenly madness is in the game, and none of the other players have a way of dealing with madness. So there's a tendency to need to play the expansion on its own. Science fiction double feature is super cheesy. This gave us time travelers, which had a lot of like time reversal effects and stuff. That was cute. Cyborg apes relied on +1 tokens being placed on them, so they like being upgraded. It was cute, but a very weird concept on its own. The spies were kind of cool, but then I think they like doing surprises. Surprise plays that are conditions like when a base is scoring, things can happen and the spies can intervene. But it's hard to wait for those conditions. And then the shapeshifters mirrored a lot of powers of factions that had come out already as of this point in Smash Up history, which is kind of cool if you kind of master the factions. But then if you don't really know them well, then it's hard to take full advantage of the shapeshifters.
So with should be 3 because we're missing one of the boxes. With these expansions and the base set, you would have wondered what they'd come up with next. And that's when they decided to come up with the Big Geeky Box. First released in August 15 as a massive storage solution. The box is big. They weren't joking.
This is our default
Smash Up container at the moment, it was literally an empty box. It does come with one faction, which is the Geeks. And the Geeks, similar to the Shapeshifters, relies on your knowledge of other factions. And it was very themed to Will Wheaton's tabletop. The challenge of the Geeks expansion is that whereas the Shapeshifters, they inherently have powers from other factions, the Geeks assume that you are a rules lawyer style geek who has memorized every other faction, and therefore you can cite how those cards work and use that against them. But it's it's a bit of a dick faction. It's a bit of a niche. The box was super useful for storage, but we have pretty much hit that limit, and you'll see why.
And that is because following the Big Geeky Box came Monster Smash, which basically, as you can see from the image, draws from a lot of the favorite Monster Universe movies that we love. This was released September 15, 2014. And following quickly after that, by March 2015, was the Pretty Pretty Smash Up.
Yeah, so first Monster Smash Up is actually kind of fun. The werewolves had that power of being weak and then strong depending on certain conditions.
The Mad Scientists.
The Mad Scientists do a lot of upgrading, and those +1 tokens can transfer around. The vampires.
Werewolves, actually. The werewolves.
There was werewolf, but was there also vampires?
Vampires, werewolves, and the giant ants.
The vampires had a drain life sort of ability, which is translated as gaining +1 tokens, which is kind of cute. It feels very Sengir vampire style in Magic the Gathering. And then the giant ants was definitely one of the cheesier factions that they were kind of big, they propagate quickly, but all of their song titles were Queen references, as in Queen the band. And that just like really stressed the humor that they were working into.
So this played with a lot of the +1 tokens in new ways.
Super like that one.
But then Pretty Pretty Smash Up came in.
Pretty Pretty Smash Up was like a game breaker. I mean, like some of these factions were scary. The scariest being the princesses. So it's really a Disney princess style faction. It has the fewest minions of any faction because it only has the princesses. And minions that typically are powers 1 to 5. Here, they only have princesses, and they were all power 5. But because of that, they required artifacts, or sorry, in this case, they were called heirlooms. So it's things like the magic mirror, the glass slipper, and stuff to upgrade them further. This faction also gave us
kitties.
The kitty cats, which is really cat memes, which are actually admittedly quite insidious sometimes in the way that they manipulate the deck.
Fairies.
The fairies were actually not one of my favorite factions. I think the princess one really just stands out.
The fairies had fickle tricks that gave you options, and finally you had horses.
Mythic horses, because they were trying to do My Little Pony, and they have a tendency to transport one another to different bases in groups because friendship is magic. So it's a pretty good expansion. So that was a good year for Smash Up expansions.
With this, the game continued with Smash Up Munchkin, a crossover with another popular game. We actually own it as well, but it's
the box is too high up, but we've mixed it into the Big Geeky Box. It is similar to a base set in that there are 8 factions and tokens to support them.
Touches on fantasy tropes.
But it's like the Munchkin art style and fantasy tropes. We haven't really gotten a lot of play out of it, admittedly, because again, it has that feeling of it doesn't play as well with other factions. You want to play with it on its own for sort of consistency. Not that you can't. I think it's still more compatible than Cthulhu. Yeah.
Now, you think this is a huge collection by now. You're wrong. We follow it with It's Your Fault, a set of factions based on popular franchises, released September 2016.
This was fun because it was a fan vote box to come up with what the factions are for this one. And it is one of the rare Smash Up expansions that don't just contain 4 factions, but it contains 5. Because, as mentioned on the box, it came with a special shark delivery system. So there is a faction for sharks, and they're big and dangerous. But there was also a faction for tornadoes.
And they worked very well
They
together.
move cards, they move minions around, dealing damage, and Yeah, obviously it's a Sharknado reference. The Spartans also had a lot of upgradey kind of things going on. What was the other one in here?
So we had Geek Myth, Superheroes,
Greek myths.
Legends of Greek Myths, Superheroes, Dragons.
The superheroes was kind of quirky. I didn't think it really stood out. Dragons was like a nice, strong, dangerous faction. That's always fun.
And seeing how popular franchises were, they followed with Cease and Desist.
Cease and Desist is, I think, smash up humor at its best because it was really cheekily copying 4 factions based on popular media, and you can kind of guess what they are based on the names. So there are the Astro Knights.
Ooh, I wonder what those are.
Yes, who have laser swords and certain mind tricks.
You have the Star Roamers.
Yes, who are like
going on missions.
Going on missions
on different quadrants
to explore new worlds.
You have the Changer Bots.
That are robots that change into other things because that's what they do, and they change your bot away.
And then finally, you have Ignobles, who seem to be fighting over the king's seat.
Yes, so they're a big political group and such. So this one, I think, regardless of how well the factions play or not, the cards are just super fun. And then it's like in those cases when the references are hilarious. Pico was asking, is it possible to play all of them all at once? Technically, no, because you can only have up to 4 players. Each player has 2 factions, so only 8 factions can be active at a time.
Yes.
So your player count constrains how many factions are active in a game.
Now, following that very quickly is...
What were we thinking? And that's a good question.
This is officially the 10th expansion of the Smash Up game. It introduces...
It was getting very ridiculous at this point.
Very ridiculous factions. Everything from rock stars to mature explorers to grannies.
And teddy bears.
And teddy bears.
So, like, I didn't really know what to make of this game. And like, these are factions that... I mean, I'm sure that there's always like ways to explore each faction well, but then these are some that do not get chosen a lot. The mature explorers obviously are very Tomb Raider-y. The grannies are just weird. They're just weird. But then I think I remember they oddly played well with the kitty cats or something. I'm not
sure what references they were drawing from for some of these, but I guess these were popular in the votes and they decided to release expansions for it.
Yeah, I don't know. The Rockstars one was like, it's just, they like doing song references, so I guess Rockstars came along and, yeah, it's just a thing.
So with this expansion, officially the game had now celebrated the fact that they've hit 50 factions to play with. Can you imagine that? A game with 50 factions. Do you think they'd be done by then?
But no, they are not.
What followed after this was the All-Star Event Kit, a promotional kit that they released for tournament play. We never got that.
We still don't own that. I will try to buy one day if it becomes available on the store, just to complete the set.
But then they followed it with Big in Japan.
Okay, Smash Up Big in Japan, admittedly, is quite awesome. It introduced a Titan mechanic for these giant-sized cards because...
Super giant minions.
Because it had to reflect that they had kaiju, they had Sentai-style people, they had pseudo Pokemon and Sailor Moon analogs.
Yes.
And these giant cards tend to be slightly overpowered things, but then they put a lot of constraints on them. So it's still kind of fair. Like if you a faction with a Titan fights a faction without a Titan, it's still gonna work. But this was definitely one of the more interesting sets. It plays well. It plays well.
Following the Big in Japan set, we had the Smash Up Sheep promo.
We bought this.
We don't have a box for it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a box. It was basically a booster pack.
But it is a faction based all on sheep. And you can just imagine combining it with, sheep robots or sheep superheroes. Quickly moving beyond sheep is the... Oops, where'd it go? There. 70s expansion.
Then I think they were just really like pushing things at this point. So this one gives us weird factions. The disco dancers, they tend to move around.
The Kung Fu fighters.
Kung Fu fighters. The truckers, which also has a moving mechanic. And then the vigilantes, which is kind of big damage stuff. But yeah, admittedly, we're getting to the point where Toby and I haven't played the other factions as much. Carlo was asking suggestion on what has the best synergy with the base game if I want my first expansion. I don't think there is such a thing, in the sense that, I mean, generally speaking, I'm sure all the cards to some degree play well with each other.
Yeah.
There may be cards that feel like they're optimal to work together, but even then, there's no guarantee. It's like, I think the game, which is one of the brilliant elements of Smash Up, is that the balance of the game is still such that I don't think there's like perfect faction combinations that really dominate the game.
Yeah, and I'm afraid, Carlo, we have not played with all the factions already.
Well, technically, we've play tested each at least once, but then
all? I
yes,
think we still skipped some.
I've made sure.
Okay.
I've made sure that we played all at least once, but yeah,
all that we own at least.
But the later ones, we've only probably played the once.
So after the 70s expansion was the Titans Event Kit, a promotional set that was released.
Oh, we don't have
during
that.
The second set of.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the store.
Play.
$10.
Sadly, we do not own that. That was then followed by the bigger, geekier box, another box art solution, which we chose to skip.
The problem with the bigger, geekier box is that, number one, if you already have the big geeky box, it will give you the Geeks faction again. And nobody needs 2 copies of the Geeks faction, or any faction for that matter. And then I think, did bigger, geekier come with All-Stars? I think they also threw in All-Stars.
I think so. I'm not sure if it's All-Stars or the basketball players.
That's All-Stars.
Oh, that's All-Stars. Okay.
Yeah, so I haven't been motivated to get the bigger, even though our box is like super full. We have now nominated as one of the expansion boxes to hold all of our tokens and manuals, rather than loading the main box anymore. And then I can always move the Munchkin set back to their box and things like that.
So the game continues with more expansions, and by September 2018, we have Oops, I Did It Again. Oops, You Did It Again.
Because this was another voting set.
Yep. This one introduces Vikings, ancient Egyptians, samurai, and cowboys.
What to say? The Vikings had a weird
steel cards.
They were trying to pillage,
yeah.
So that kind of made sense. Ancient Egyptians
and balmed cards.
You think kind of works with zombies because they tend to use the discard pile also.
Samurai fight to the death with honor, gain bonus effects.
Yeah, if they fight alone, and then cowboys was very focused on minion destruction. So it was cute. It was cute.
Not content with that, they move forward with World Tour International Incident.
Okay, this one and the expansion that followed it was like a weird effort to deliberately include, I don't know, as many countries as possible.
And that would be World Tour Culture Shock.
So it's a multiculturalism thing going. I hope it doesn't feel like tokenism, but that's what you get.
So one added luchadors,
so Mexican
Mounties,
wrestlers,
musketeers, and sumo wrestlers, and the other one added where'd it go?
Fairy tales.
Of course, I'm looking for the official terms because this one's 5 factions. The fairy tales of Russia, West Africa, Germany, Inca Empire, and Polynesians.
So this is it's another one of those rare, like there were 5 factions in the box. The Polynesian was obviously an attempt to cash in on the likes of Moana. I like that fairy tales box, the Culture Shock one, only because it was very interesting references. So obviously the Russian fairy tales had like a Baba Yaga card, and then the West African has references to all these classic African stories, which may seem slightly familiar if you've read American Gods. So things like Spider Anansi and the like, and all these things. But yeah, so we're at a point where probably the last 4 or 5 expansions we've barely gotten to play thoroughly. Like we've played them once and then that's about it. And that's a bit of a pain. Because Smash Up is cool, and then I think I'm definitely at a point where I'm a completist collector when it comes to the game. But then it's now too large to bring around easily.
Mhm.
So we have to haul the Big Geeky Box as much as possible to play. And then just choosing factions is a chore
Mhm.
because there are, 60 factions now? I mean, it's a good and a bad
Let me
thing.
try. Let me try googling that. How many officially factions they have in total now?
And this is me still wanting to get the Titans back and the what was the other one? The All Stars and there's one more that was listed on the side.
Titans.
I said that already. Penguins. There's a Penguins expansion.
And there's a Marvel one coming up.
Yeah, so there's also a Marvel theme smash up, which is on its own thing. And like, I've chosen not to buy it yet. I think I'm gonna wait for it to go on sale.
Officially, there are 74 factions that can combine to 2,701 unique pairs.
Oh my god! See, that's a lot of possible factions. So Smash Up did not cure my Magic the Gathering problem of not spending too much on cards because the expansions keep growing. But they remain true to form in the sense that they have never added cards to an existing faction. It is always introducing new factions
Mhm.
and more shuffle building combinations.
So Marvel will bring in Avengers, Hydra, Kree, Masters of Evil, Shield, Sinister Six, and Spider-Verse and Ultimates.
So yeah, so it's a play on there's a heroes and villain factions, and I admittedly I'm still interested to see how it's going to play. I'm still going to want to get it, but then I don't know when. Like I don't think I'm not. We didn't rush to pre-order.
Yeah.
We're probably not gonna get it full price. We're probably gonna wait for secondary market, and then if there are any more Smash Up expansions, standard box size Smash Up expansions, I don't think we're gonna rush to get them. We still like playing the game. It still provides good fun. But then it's like it's just a burden of weight. And then as you get more factions, each faction also includes new bases that whose powers match the powers of that faction. We have given up and we just have a master bases stack that is super shuffled, and then
we
get super random
We even
powers.
had a second set of bases, right?
That's because
the Geeky Box.
yeah, I think the Geeky Box gave us another set of the standard bases, in addition to the main ones.
Now, if you are sharp-eyed, you will notice this box has not closed properly. That's because each time you buy Smash Up, they come with their own set of tokens. The tokens are used to keep track of the points you earn as you play the game.
Each set of tokens is themed to the expansion factions that it comes with.
So yes, that has grown in number, despite the fact that
You will never need that
a
many
more
tokens.
generic score token counter could have worked,
You can use beads or coins.
or
It's
dice,
totally fine.
or candy.
Because you're only really counting up to was it 15 points?
Yeah.
15, 16 points. So these games still can end pretty quickly. RJ is asking, do we ever sell some of your games? Not really.
No, I think we've given
away
a few
duplicates,
games.
but we haven't sold games.
Yeah.
Carlo mentions one time we found a homemade faction that was free to print. Have you guys played any player-made ones? No.
In terms of Smash Up, no. We have tried some print and play games of other type of games.
Yeah,
not
but for Smash Up, no. It's like we already have too many factions to deal with, so we're not going to try more.
Admittedly, when people make print and play expansions, they tend to have balance issues because they're not as well play tested as other games might be.
Yeah.
However, print and play original or unique games tend to work better.
Yeah, because then it's like that's their own thing. It's still standalone, but it's trying to slide into an existing game franchise.
Spoiler: Shark is happy. He's one of the factions.
To be fair, and like in all equalness, you don't have to start with the base set.
Yes.
When you get into Smash Up, you can get an expansion
and still play
that is themed to things that you like, and two players can play comfortably.
Yes.
Because of the fact that it includes tokens, it includes bases. And then you will have 4 factions that can build 2 decks.
So I guess to move now towards tips and suggestions and thoughts. One is don't feel obligated to buy the base set. You you don't even need it for base sets, right? Because even the factions come out with their own base sets.
Yes.
So the only thing you're really losing
is the factions in the base set.
the base set factions.
And then admittedly, the powers have gotten a lot more creative
Mhm.
over time. So the base set does not include factions that require +1 tokens.
Mhm.
The base set doesn't really have super complicated actions,
Mhm.
unlike later factions that really try to manipulate it. And I think at this point, the steampunk faction, which also manipulates sort of actions played on bases, is probably more powerful now than it used to be in the beginning.
So just for quick fun, let's go through the list of those who are watching right now, and for each person, let's recommend what faction they should play.
Okay, that's tricky.
So you got the mouse?
Yeah.
Well, you want to start at the top, at the bottom?
I guess we can start at the bottom. So now we have Urim, who just said hello.
Okay, Urim. For Urim, what faction do you think would work for him?
Blah. We'll just give him bear cavalry.
I think he would do well with the ninjas, only because he'll try to do stealth, and this time it will work.
And then therefore, Urim will have to be ninja vampires. So it's
okay, that works.
Stealthy vampires, because that's very Urim.
Okay, Noel will be...
Yes, he gets the Sailor Moon set.
Yes, magical girl princesses.
Yes, their official name.
Yes. Andre...
Well, you have to get you'll get one of the Cthulhu ones, definitely.
Yeah, a Cthulhu one, but I think I will mix it with Shapechangers.
Shapechangers, why?
Because it has that nice, it can be World of Darkness, it might be something else, but it's flexible enough.
That's fair. RJ, because of his veganism, will get the plant faction.
And at the same time, since he was asking us to give him a game, I will make him a Viking because he is trying to raid us.
Okay.
Carlo! Okay.
Carlo gets mad scientist for his craftiness.
And steampunk.
And steampunk.
Because those will nicely work together.
We're super focusing on your building and making. Mitch. What's Mitch?
Gosh.
Mitch gets kitty cats.
Kitty cat grannies.
Kitty cat grannies.
Only because you will
deceptive.
Yes,
Mitch.
you will be the one everyone will overlook, and then you'll suddenly win. Pico.
Pico gets sheep.
Sheep? You're giving him sheep?
Yes, I'm giving him sheep.
Oh, if he's sheep.
What one other faction?
Then I think I will make him sheep and pirates.
Why pirates?
I'll leave it at that. Next one?
Oh, Kino. What do we give Kino? Kino, I think I can give wizards for one.
Alien wizards.
Alien wizards.
Because he would be drawing crazily and then using all these effects.
Yeah, and I think that's about everyone in the stream, unless someone has joined. Toby, what is your zombie? What's your faction? You think?
Well, for a long time, I was a big fan of the robot faction, only because I liked how they chained effects.
Yes.
Admittedly, I am hoping to really celebrate and enjoy the Kaiju and Sentai expansions. I know I've played them a few times before, and I was bad at them.
Well, I think I know what we're going to do tonight after this episode. I think we have to play this a bit more.
I'm surprised this game does not have dog faction.
Because the internet likes cats.
Yeah, but I'm just surprised it has not had the dog faction. Just imagine having
because it has werewolves.
But imagine having a game where it's like cats versus dogs. I mean, that opportunity has been overlooked.
Admittedly, I kind of, for a time, I like the undead combination. So the ghosts and the zombies, because the ghosts make you discard cards. The zombies pop out of the grave, the discard pile. So that was cute. Especially once you start getting your Tenacious Z out. He's this zombie that there are multiple copies of him. And then as long as he's in the graveyard, one of them can return every turn. So that's always fun.
But if you are diving into Smash Up for the very first time, and you want something that will be easy for a lot of people where you live to play with, then the upcoming Marvel one might be a good choice. Only because Marvel people have been watching the movies.
And then I'm sure the
familiar
powers also will be refined, repurposed from existing sets.
But if you do want to just celebrate the quirkiness of the game, grab the expansions with the factions that you find interesting, because it's fun how they find ways to capture the feel of certain expansions.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember how when I was playing the Sharks, I was eating minions where I could. And then I think there was that effect where if a minion dies, the Sharks go there.
Yeah, because there's chum in the water, or the shark gets +1 tokens if he gets to eat something.
Yeah, and
So
then,
it was
you
good.
had,
It was
and then you
good
had the
combination.
ninja who had this power to kill any minion, and then it disappears. And it's great how they come up with these little tricks that make
Yeah,
the cards feel.
and there are going back to Carla's earlier question about which expansion works best with the base set. It's really up to your imagination. We're still, because of the sheer number of combinations, we're still discovering surprise combinations that work. And that's just kind of fun. Obviously, there is a plants zombies implied combination. Toby, just put it down. And things like that. Carla's asking your most and least favorite factions.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to remember now which one that was that I really hated using. Which one was it? Do you remember yours?
My least favorite is definitely, actually, I think it's either a toss up between steampunk and spies. Well, I mean, apart from the fact that I hate the geeks, but the geeks because it's super dependent on card knowledge. But I think in terms of like factions as they came out, the super spies and the super spies wasn't that smooth. It was like waiting a lot for other people, and then yeah. But in terms of like favorite, I mean, you'd think it'd be the changer bots, but I think that was just cute, funny, but it wasn't like necessarily an effective faction. I think I still hold on to like the robots. The robots are still like one of the most diverse ones. Their minions are deceptively small and they get bigger as they come together.
Yeah, and me, I think I really didn't like the Cthulhu expansion.
Oh well, yeah, that's fair. The whole Cthulhu expansion,
the gameplay just
it's its own world.
Feel fun. It just felt heavy. And then in terms of the expansion, I hated playing. I think it was the steampunk one because of
Steampunk is such
because
a
I think you had to target other people's
actions
cards
played on
that were
bases,
which felt very I have to keep waiting. But the one I hated when others played it the most was the changelings. The ones who could I play this and you can't affect me anymore. Or I play this.
The tricksters.
Yeah, the tricksters. And the moment you do this, you get punished. I mean, that was so annoying.
They were that's a base set faction.
Yes.
It's like very devious. But yeah, because they weren't kidding when they were called tricksters.
So it's we're already in our second 30 minutes. 24. There's still 24 minutes, so we can extend this or we can wrap it up.
I think we can still wrap up.
So if we will wrap it up, so I already mentioned I wish there was a dog expansion, a dog faction, or maybe a dog expansion. And the 4 factions would be: you just have dogs, you have the internet dogs, maybe you have serial numbers filed off franchise dogs. So everything from Mega Man's dog to Inspector Gadget's dog, and I mean that sort of a faction. And then the last one could be. Oh, maybe that's why I never released it. It's kind of harder to think of dogs.
Yeah, so you can't do 4 dogs.
But I am making a whole box for just dogs.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know that'll fly. They've covered a lot of stuff already, admittedly, and I think I already hit like peak fulfillment with Pretty Smash Up. I thought that was definitely one of the smarter sets that came out.
We'll probably have drag queens someday.
Oh, that could be weird. I think the disco almost feels draggy in their vibe and how they play
so
those
you have
out.
dogs, drag queens. We need 2 more, and it's a box, and then we can propose it to them. We can have cartoons. So you have a Steven Universe analog, an Adventure Time analog.
Okay.
So that's 3. We just need 1 more.
It's a shame they already did a bunch of the fairy tales and cultural tales together, and then the 70s so fair.
If they tempt lawsuits, they can like and this will have a strong fan following. They can do the endless as a faction.
That feels a little overpowered, but okay, sure.
So you have Dream, Desire, and stuff. But of course, it's the serial numbers filed off type of approach.
And then it'll be a 7 minion deck
Yes.
with mostly actions. Quite possible, quite possible. Is it expensive if you'd get them all?
I don't remember how much a box costs. A single expansion.
I also do not remember because we just like, okay, new Smash Up, we're gonna get it. And then are you missing an expansion, the competitive one? We are missing mini expansion. So we're missing the basketball themed All Stars expansion, which is just one faction. There's a Penguins faction and a Titans faction, which are only on the store. So these were convention games. So
it's
we didn't get
interesting
those.
that Smash Up Goblins is coming out.
It's another standalone faction.
Yeah.
It's a mini expansion that's just one faction. So I don't know what the Goblins is gonna be about. And then but they seemingly haven't announced any big new ones, right?
Except for Marvel.
Except for Marvel. But I think they need to wrap up. I think they need to accept that the franchise has gotten big enough. Duck faction.
Or worse, they'll make a Smash Up second edition and it makes all of this useless. And then you'll have to play with a whole new set. Because sometimes that's what they do, to introduce people to the game anew.
Yeah, but I think at this point, expansion bloat has really overwhelmed this game to where it is now. And so I think we're more like, if you really want to play, we're glad to play with you and then to share the love, because it means I get to track more plays for the expansions. It's just a challenge now whenever I see like, oh, so people chose factions. I want to track what expansions we use. I have to remember where the faction came from.
And sadly, this is not a play online friendly game as far as if you were to play with us. There are, however,
there's an official app.
There are, however, digital options that exist. The app is available. The app is the main set.
It's the base set.
I'm not sure how many of the expansions have been added to the app.
We haven't been actively monitoring
You might want to check that out if you want to, dip your toes into Smash Up and get a taste of the game.
Let me look at Smash Up app. It's on Google Play, it's on iTunes, it's on Steam.
Averaging around $4, so that might be something you want to check out.
Yeah, it's $3.50 to buy it.
Is there any mentions of the in-app purchases that will suggest what are available as expansions? Nothing yet. Okay, I guess nothing yet.
Yeah.
Oh, there, in-app products.
$1.99 per item, $2.
That's not so bad.
But is that $2 per expansion or per faction?
That might be per faction.
It might be per faction.
But it's still not so bad. For $100, you can grab, or let's say $200, you can grab the faction you want to play with the base game. So yeah, check it out.
Or if you just want to build this, admittedly, we condensed everything into the Big Geeky Box, telling ourselves that we would eventually get rid of the expansion boxes that are empty. But they're kind of nice boxes. They're very thick material. They're good for reusing. We just haven't gotten around to it. And I think we've never even played the Munchkin expansion once.
Admittedly, I also like the fact that they kept their boxes mostly consistent.
Yeah.
It is so much less of pain.
They stack very well
to store.
The only irregular size ones actually is the base set, the Big Geeky Box and the bigger Geekier Box. But this size box for the base set, all their base sets are this size. So the Marvel, I assume, will be this size. I don't know for sure. And then the Munchkin one was this size as well. Cthulhu was only small box expansion. So that's Smash Up, guys. So it is still it still provides like that Magic the Gathering feel. It's a much easier game to learn. You get set up very quickly because you just have to choose your factions and shuffle, and then you start. And then the player turn is it's easy to understand that it is play a minion, play an action, check for base scoring, move on.
The gameplay is fast enough that you can enjoy it despite not really knowing your cards yet. But then it is deep enough that if you want to really master a faction, you will discover there are very nice ways to really capitalize on the combination you chose.
Yeah, and then they also stress that if the card rules seem to contradict the written rules in the manual, card rules win because the factions are that crazy already. So just roll with it. Just let it take its path and move forward.
All right.
Yay!
So-
Let's smash up.
We wrap up.
Yes.
That was more than 30 minutes. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you will join us again
No,
next
we just
time.
wanted to bring out all the boxes. Okay, so if you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Please note that we will have a guest on Friday. This is the Odiva MC Black.
Assuming nothing.
No force majeure
Yes.
events happen. If you have questions specifically for MC, do let us know, and we will be sure to ask them on Friday. You can follow us on Twitter, Toby No Shade, and I'm RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog. That's baduypride.com for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Yay! And then, of course, feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what factions you've gotten to play and which ones you like, and why your favorite set is obviously the Big in Japan set because
Char.
it's so much fun. And then be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this
Is
is
Baduy Pride.
Have a good evening, everyone.